Hello everyone, and welcome back to my survival time-lapse series. My name is Illyrio, and today I'm gonna start probably my biggest project yet. I want to make a really large nether perimeter. And by really large, I mean a lot bigger than the one I made 2 years ago. This one was 17 by 17 chunks. And the one I want to make would be 64 chunks wide and probably a few hundred chunks long. So almost a year ago, I started tunnel boring an area, but I quickly realized it will take way too long to do it just by tunnel boring. And around the same time, I saw that on the Chronos server they developed a way to break all 5 layers of bedrock at once. That's why I quickly decided to give up with the tunnel boring and just break the bedrock instead. That will require a lot more materials, especially pistons, but at least it will be a lot less manual effort. So that's the project I want to start today. It will take a few months, between 3 and 6 months, depending on how long I want to make the perimeter, and that's only for the bedrock breaking. Then I still need to make the actual perimeter. And in case you don't know how to break such a large area of bedrock, the first step is to place a lot of pistons, and then you use these pistons to break the bedrock. In this case I will place all 5 layers of pistons at once, and then break each layer one after the other. And this means I can have one big machine that will run in the background, that will be really slow, but that will break bedrock automatically. If everything goes well, it should take around 12 days to break a 1k by 1k area of bedrock. I have the schematic in place already, and it has a few things attached to it. That's not only the piston placer, but I will talk about those things when they are built. The perimeter will start here, so right next to the old one, and it will be 1000 blocks on that direction, and then it will go on the east direction. Which means everything that I have built here will be inside of the perimeter, and actually I will have to remove some of the chunk loaders of the main storage. And by the way, this project is on such a large scale that I won't be able to record most of it in time lapses, and that's the main reason I'm talking in this video. There will be some time lapses, but most of it will be shown in first person. And to give you an idea on how long it will take, I will show you the date of when I start this project. It's currently the 1st of February. Okay, so now I think I can collect the materials and start building this thing. So I just finished building the piston placer, and it took around 5 hours. It was a bit longer than I thought, mostly because of the top part, which was a bit annoying to build, and it's very long. So this is the end here, and as you can see I have 2 of these things here. This is to put the players to load the area. So I will have one here, another one a bit further this way, and then the bot that will place the pistons will load the end. Which means I can load the entire thing with just 3 bots, and that's with a render distance of 16. Now the next thing I need to build is the station to dispense all the pistons, and then the ice line to bring them here. So the station will be this way, we can kind of see the schematic, and it will be around 1000 blocks this way. I said that I wanted this perimeter to be longer than 1000 blocks, but I can't load the entire thing at once because of lag. So when the piston placer reaches the station, I will remove the station and rebuild it 1000 blocks further. So the full station has been built. Now I just need to float align the boat here. So let's see if I remember how to do it. So I think I need a minecart first, then a piston. I need to remove the rail, 0 tick, then place the rail back. Then I can remove this, and I will need the boat. I can align it against the minecart. Then I can just remove the minecart, and now it should be good. So I'll test it later and see if it works. And now I will connect the piston station to the piston placer with an ice line, and then build the pushers with just a pressure plate, a sticky piston and a slime block to push the pistons to the player. Now the last thing I need before starting the machine is of course bringing the pistons. And I still have a lot of pistons from the previous Bedrock breaking project, and they are all still here. Yeah, this amazing storage is still full with a lot of piston. And yeah, I should have enough. And I will only bring around 500,000 pistons for this project, because it should be enough to move the piston placer for about 100 blocks. And then I will start building the Bedrock breakers and collect the piston back to reuse them for the piston placer. So 500,000 pistons should be enough. Now that all the bots are in place to load the area, I just need the bot to place the pistons. So it needs to be placed here, just aligning against this mouse block. And then I can do player piston place interval 1. And the only issue I have now is that the mob switch is not big enough, so here I will have mob spawning. So I will have to extend the mob switch at some point. I still want to launch this today because I will have to go and I want to see if this is working, but I took a backup so in case something goes wrong I can always load it. Well, actually something did go wrong, because the bot needs to look at the bottom left pixel of the mouse block, otherwise it will get misaligned when the placer moves. But it wasn't that bad, it just took me some time to figure this out. So while the placer is running, I will take some time to expand the mob switch. So this is my current nether mob switch. It uses shulkers because it's connected to the shulker farm over there, and it has 3 mob caps. So I want to expand it to have 7 mob caps instead, which I think should be enough. So I will expand the room on this side and also on the other side. To make the process a bit easier, I made some invisibility potions using the brewing system at my main storage. And I also took some materials to make the chunk loaders better, because the current ones are not really ideal. Okay, so I'll drink this potion and just keep the elytra, and hopefully they won't shoot at me. And the other issue is if they try to shoot at me, they might kill themselves, which we don't want. Okay, this is done, and as you've seen it went flawlessly. But now it's time to bring the shulkers in. I've lost pretty much more than half of them, but it shouldn't be a big deal, it will just take more time to refill. So let's head to the shulker farm and turn this on. This is my old shulker farm that I have at my base, and it still works, it's just not reliable because of the decoration around. So sometimes there are shulkers teleporting to the decoration, and that's actually the case now, so I will just kill a shulker here. So I'll just kill this shulker, and then I should be able to use the farm. And now I will turn on the farm. The on switch is inside of the base, and hopefully there will be shulkers spawning. Okay, I have already some shulkers. I have 7 of these, so it's not that slow actually. And now the next thing is just I need to press this button every time I want to send a shulker. That will dispense a minecart and send the shulker on its way. And I also need to load the area there because it's too far away. And then it's just a matter of repeating this 400 times, roughly. I don't know how many exactly I need. And then it should be done. Okay, I checked the shulker line and there may or may not be an issue here. I think the area was not properly loaded before I sent the shulkers. Oh, this is the issue. This is turned off. Okay, that's why. So I need to turn this on again. Okay, let's turn the lever on. Okay, let's see what happens here. It might be too fast. Yeah, that's way too many shulkers at once. But it will fix itself after a while, so I just need to wait. And just like that, the new mob switch is done. Now I have a bit more than 8 mob caps, which would be more than enough. So now I can remove this line, because I don't need it anymore, and I also want to change the chunk loader for a better one. And I will also connect this to an on-off switch 16 chunks away, so I don't have to travel that far every time I want to turn this on. And also I don't have to load the shulkers, they will only be lazy loaded. Because it was fine with around 210 shulkers, but now it's 576, so it's starting to be a bit laggy. Now that the new mob switch is done, it's time to get back into the main topic of the video, which is bedrock breaking. So this piston placer has been running for about 15 hours and it placed around 500,000 piston, and now it makes more sense what this in the back does. So this piston placer is a machine made by Divided with help from SG, and it places 5 piston every 10 game ticks. And there is a faster one which can place 5 piston every 5 game ticks, but it's a lot bigger and more difficult to build and more laggy. And considering the bedrock breakers are slow anyway, it doesn't really make sense to make a faster one. And the machine will place all the piston in a rectangular shape like this, but we want them in a staircase. And that's where this machine comes into play. It will align the piston in the correct shape starting from below, but first we have to destroy the ice line and also the piston and slime blocks, so they are pushed down and then destroyed by the TNT duper here. And it's funny because yesterday, so the day after I built this machine, Desu released a new tunnel bore which could be really useful in this case because it's really small. So you could actually use this tunnel bore to remove the ice line without having to push it down. And maybe I'll change the one in survival for this one, I'm not sure yet. But anyway, this is the setup, and of course I have the same thing on the other side, because the piston needs to be aligned in the same way on both sides. So now I think it's time to build the first bedrock breaker. But first I also need to make a staircase here with the pistons, because each breaker has 2 blocks of overhead. Okay, I just built the machine needed to align the pistons, so I guess let's just launch it and see if it works. Okay, for now it looks correct. And of course I will still have to fill these gaps here, but that's all I need to do. Well, actually there is something else I need to do, it's to pull these 5 pistons 2 blocks down. And I will also use a flying machine for that. So hopefully I can remember how to do it. So I need 5 sticky pistons, actually I think I need to move these. Then I need to connect them with slime blocks. And add some observers to trigger them. And I can also place the next one here, because I need to pull them down twice. Then I need to add normal pistons to push them. So I can have them here. And then slime blocks to connect them. Just like that. And then some observers here and here. And then just a normal engine. And that should be it, I think. Yeah, it looks fine. Perfect. And I will basically have to do that for each breaker. So each time I have to reform this shape here and pull these 5 pistons 2 blocks down. And now I can build the actual breaker. So the schematic is already in place and correctly aligned. So let's start building. about 15 hours later and the first bedrock breaker has been running fine. And now I have enough space to build a second one. And to give you some numbers, it takes around 18 minutes to do one slice, which means in 24 hours it's around 79.5 layers. So if I want to make this perimeter 1000 blocks long, it will take around 12.5 days. The second bedrock breaker is running fine. The only thing I forgot to mention is that I had to remove the hopper line from the first breaker that was here. This bedrock breaker already has a duper attached to it to remove the line in front of it, but in the beginning you need to remove it where the bedrock breaker is. So now I can build the other breakers. I will still record the process, but I don't think I need to explain anything. So we'll see again when they are all built. And just like that, all 5 of the breakers are done. And I gotta say, it's really satisfying to see all 5 of these working at the same time. And now at this point, it's just a matter of waiting, because pretty much everything is ready for the bedrock breaking, but I still want to add a few things. Before that, actually, I need to remove these chunk loaders here, because they will be in the way. These are the chunk loaders for the main storage, but I don't need to remove this and the cannon because it's higher than the piston placer. So what I want to add now is some dupers at the back to destroy the hopper lines, probably 2, maybe 3, and then I want to build a 3-wide trencher. And I want to see if I can connect the 3-wide trencher to the breakers, so it will run only when the breakers in the front will have moved. To prepare the area for the trenchers, I will have to do 3 things. The first is to make some space to build the trencher, so I will just mine the blocks, because I think it will be easier than using TNT with all the lava. The second step is to make the bottom trench, which I will also mine. And the last thing to do is to remove all immovable blocks. But thankfully in the nether, it's just the chest and spawner from the fortress, and also the obsidian from the rune portals. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since the last clip, and the machines have been running for a total of 12 days. The piston placer has reached the station, so I will need to remove the station now, and it ran for a bit more than 1000 blocks. If we check the end of the line, here we're at around 840 blocks. So I think in around 2 days we will have finished the 1000 by 1000 area. So that will be a total of 5 weeks just to break a 1k by 1k of Bedrock, but there was a break of 2 weeks because I had to run the quarry. So it's basically possible to break a 1k by 1k area of Bedrock in only 3 weeks, which is a lot faster than when I did the void perimeter in the overworld, because there it was 5 weeks in total. I almost had no issue in the entire process, except when we reached this biome, because here, this is in the basalt delta, we have a lot of blackstone and basalt, meaning sometimes the bedrock breaker won't break some of the blocks, and if the machine here arrive at the station and there are some blocks in between the bedrock, then the honey block will stick to the blocks and it will break the machine. So that was an issue. That's why here one of the machine broke, and it was actually easier to move it 1 block further instead of having to rebuild it entirely. So I have 1 strip of bedrock which is not broken, but it's easy to do with just a one-way machine, which takes like 10 minutes to build. So I still have to do that. And to prevent this from happening again, Divided by 0 sent me this, which is a block puller which will pull every block which is in the bedrock, and then it will get pushed by this piston, which means we can store like 6 or 7 blocks and they won't be in the way of the machine. So I added this in front of each of the machines, and this is really simple to build, so it's probably the best solution if you have a normal perimeter. But if you have a really long one like this one, you will probably need to remove the blocks every now and then, because when we reach the limit, then the machine will break because of push limit. So we still need to be careful about that, but here we only have 2 blocks, one here and one here, and it's been running for around 400 blocks in this biome, and usually you won't have a huge biome of 1000 blocks long, so it should be fine. The other solution would be to have a TNT to break the blocks here, but it's a bit more work, so I think this is the better solution. I also wanted to mention that I attached the 3-wide trencher to the breakers with this line. This is really high because I didn't want it to be blown up by the TNT here, and I think you can have it a lot lower actually. But I did it in survival, so I wanted to make sure it wouldn't break. So as I said before, to prepare for the 3-wide you also need a bottom trench, which I did, and it's actually 10,000 blocks long. And it actually took 9 hours to make both of the trenches. This is a total of 120,000 blocks to mine, but a lot of it is basalt and blackstone, which you can insta-mine, and you also have a lot of lava pockets. So if, for example, this one, and usually takes a while to block off all the lava, like here for example, I had to do this every time. So what I did for each one is to first mine a 1-wide trench, remove all the lava that is in the way, and then I can do the other 2 strips without having any lava. And it's funny because it was probably the most amount of manual work for this entire project. And speaking of manual work, the only thing I need to do now is to rebuild the piston station every now and then. So this one was a bit more than 1000 blocks away, and I made a new one which is 2000 blocks away from here. So 1000 blocks was fine for the lag, so this one I made it further. And then when the piston placer will have reached the station, I will have to build it again. I already built all the hobo lines and the ice line, and it takes almost 2 hours to build all of this, and also the piston station. And in this case, the speed potion actually really helped, so I could at least use my potion brewer for once. And here we have the new piston station. This is the same one as the other one. I just removed some of the chests here because I usually just need 1 double chest to store the pistons, because all of them are either placed or in the hobo lines. So if I want to make this perimeter 10,000 blocks long, it will take around 4 months, which is a long time. And I actually want to release the video before that, because I want you to see this project. So I think what I want to do is to run this machine for 1 more month, maybe a bit more, and then I will release the video. And then if you want to see more of the progress, you can go on my Discord server. I have a channel where I share all the progress of this machine every few days or few weeks. If we check the date again, it's been around 5 weeks since I've started this project, and I had a break of 2 weeks because I had to run the quarry. So I will stop recording for now, and we will see each other in a bit more than a month to see the progress on this. It is 2 months later and the machines have reached 5,000 blocks. And if you look at the map, it looks really massive, especially if you compare it to the first perimeter that I made. I will continue to run these machines until I reach 10,000 blocks, but I will stop recording for the video here and release it in a few days. And again, a huge thanks to Divided and SG for designing all these machines. This wouldn't have been possible without them. And especially SG, who spent the time explaining me how this machine works and how to use them. Something else I want to mention, because I don't think it's obvious for most of you, is that I don't host my world on my PC. It's hosted on a server that runs 24/7. Because there is no way I will let my PC on for a few months straight just to run a machine on a block game. And so I have been hosting my world on Oracle for the last year, because it's really good for it being free. But the thing is, it's not the best hosting service in terms of performance. But about a month ago I have become partner with Kinetic Hosting, and that's where my world is hosted now. Kinetic Hosting is the best hosting service that I've seen because they are highly customizable and they are quite cheap. You can choose between 3 different CPUs and you can select how much RAM you need for your server. And also the support team is really helpful. So if you want to create a Minecraft server, you can check the link in the description and use the code Illyrio15 to get 15% off of your first month. And so now with Kinetic I get much better performance. Here I'm at 22 MSPT with a lot of players on, which is really nice. It means I can run this and also other things on the side, when previously it was between 35 and 40 MSPT all the time with this running. So I will end the video here. You can join the Discord server if you want to see the progress on this. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!